Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to talk about the best new way to master screenwriting. So this is something that we've been thinking about for a long time. It's like, 20 years working with people, working with writers, working with producers, interacting with the industry, doing what we could to try to help people move forward. And in the last year, there's been some changes that have occurred that I think are going to give you a significant advantage if you take advantage of them. So here's kind of the old method of becoming a writer. Uh, we have action down here, start in this corner right here. We have actions that happen here. And then it's about first gaining kind of amateur skills, left-hand side, and then ultimately kind of working your way up and hopefully getting to professional skills. Now, the problem with this old method is that it creates kind of a trajectory that looks like this. A person starts, they're learning like crazy because everything is new. And at that point, it is really easy to find things. Like if you've never worked with structure, any article you read on structure is great. If you've never worked with characters, same thing. If you're in the midst of wordsmithing, you take a class, you learn something on that, how to edit better, you're getting better. And then at some point, people hit this kind of area where they just start rounding off. And the reason, there's a couple of reasons here. One is because they've already trained themselves to be at this level, essentially. All the skills they learned along here were usually fairly early skills. They were beginning and intermediate level skills. And by the time they get here, a lot of people just kind of go to the, hey, I'm just going to write. And I understand. I absolutely understand. If somebody's not really trying to be a professional, or if they just want to get their story on the page, that's just completely normal. On the things that I do in my life that I'm not a pro, this is pretty much how things go. This is how my golf game went, and a bunch of other things, right? It's like you get to a certain point, you go, well, you know what? I'm where I'm at. I'm just going to keep going and enjoy it. Totally okay. Problem is at this level, what's missing is all the pro stuff. So, and again, no matter where you are, do not ever feel bad about that. At any point, you can make a change. So let me ask you this question. And I want you to be thinking about this. What if you knew all the skills and strategies that an A-list writer knew, and you could have any amount of healthy feedback to improve your writing? Now, by the way, this is the question that I pretty much ask anytime I create an expert model. Back when I was doing corporate training, when we created a model, this is the basic question. I would ask, we've got 99 salespeople in a room at a corporation, and 3 of them are performing better than the bottom 40%. And I would go in and ask, okay, what would it take to have everybody have that level of skill and be able to perform at the same level as the ones that are at the top? And that's how we created our models. We didn't create our models from okay, how can I teach people basic stuff? Because basic stuff doesn't get you to being a pro. So what if you knew the skills and strategies of an A-list writer, and you could get any amount of healthy feedback to improve your writing? What could you accomplish as a writer? So be thinking about that, because whether you work with me on things or somebody else, you still want to be having this kind of model. You want to be thinking, what does it take for me to get to the top? So today I want to give you an easier way to do that. That's what today's about. So here's our system. Our system, and there's some stuff we've been working with for a while that came from A-list screenwriters. I interviewed over 120 of them. And then there's some things that we're bringing in right now that are brand new. But essentially, once you start with us, the job is to continually add and apply professional level skills. The more you can shift your skills from being basic to being professional, the better everything goes for you. At the same time, the job is to keep writing and marketing scripts. And marketing scripts means getting them to producers, agents, managers, anybody who could possibly help you get your movie made. And then here's one thing that we're going to add, and I'm going to show you today. And that is consistent, healthy feedback. Now, up until this point, I've spent a lot of time, telling people to be careful of feedback, because a lot of times there's a lot of feedback out there that's just not healthy. And you want to be really careful of it. But if you're getting consistent, healthy feedback, real healthy feedback that is valuable for you, you're going to keep improving. And if you do all three of these at once, if you're adding and applying professional skills and you keep improving those skills, and at the same time you're writing and marketing scripts and getting consistent and healthy feedback, sooner or later you're going to be one of the best. That's the job. And that's what you want to keep doing. You want to keep moving up, 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 up until everybody in this industry recognizes you. So the old way of thinking about feedback, and we'll look at a couple of different parts of the model, and feedback's one of them. The old way of thinking about it, first, the source is usually other writers, and a lot of times it's other writers who haven't had success yet. And however, I will say, if you're in a writer's group and you've only written one script and the other people have written 3 scripts, well, there is something to learn there. But the question is, what happens along the way? Problem number one is that it's inconsistent. And this, I remember back when I first started getting feedback from people, one person would say one thing, another person would say exactly the opposite. And so advice is sometimes good and it's sometimes bad. And a lot of times people don't know when it's bad. If you have somebody in the group who is telling you you need to add more information, tell more backstory, give us more exposition, those kinds of things, because that's what they like to read. When you get to producers, you'll see most people will turn a script down because of all that stuff. So sometimes it's good, sometimes bad. But the other part is, how often has their advice shut you down? I was standing in front of a room of about 200 writers doing a presentation one day, and I asked this question. I said, let me just ask, how many people in here have ever gotten feedback and it shut you down? 2/3 of the people raised their hand. So then I said, how many, keep your hands up if you were shut down for at least a month? And now we're at about 1/3 of the people. And I said, okay, keep your hands up if you were shut down for 2 months. And at that point, now we're at about, 10% plus or minus. I said, okay, let me just ask the extreme question. How many have been shut down for at least a year? And there were 5 people in that room who was shut down for an entire year because of bad feedback. That's important to know. And it's something you want to watch out for. And there's lots of different psychological techniques you can use for that, but I'll give you something else in a minute. Problem number 2 is waiting for their feedback. How long do you have to wait? Even if you're in a writer's group, it's like, well, if you've got 5 people in the group, and you meet once a week and you have a chance to read one script a week, well, that means you're waiting for 5 weeks before it's your turn. And the longer you're waiting for feedback, the more things are just stalled out. Now, second source on this is script consultants. And this could be coverage sources and those kinds of things. The problem here, $100 to $300 or more, depending upon who you're talking to. And there are a lot of script consultants that are very good and are very helpful. There are some that have kind of their own way to do it, and they haven't checked with the industry, so that's just something to consider. But the other problem here is you're waiting, and you're having to put everything on hold. You hand them a script. If they get back to you with feedback in 5 days, well, you waited 5 days. If they get back to you in 2 weeks or sometimes longer, you've waited all of that time. Most script consultants have pretty good advice. I have seen some that actually gave people advice that would kill their screenplay from a perspective of whether or not it was producible. So, you're still playing the odds there. More on the problem with normal feedback. Again, it's expensive. It's emotional. Will they like it? Right? It's like sometimes you hand a script to somebody to get their feedback, and what you feel is embarrassment or fear. Or if somebody in the group is like coming down on you because they didn't like something you wrote, now it's like shame. And that's a sad thing. It's damaging sometimes. Harsh feedback, again, can shut people down. That's not safe. We wanted to make sure everything we do on this is safe for people. So the question is, what if you could get all the feedback you wanted without any of those problems? So let me show you this. Oh, yeah. I'm going to show you something that basically is professional level feedback. We had a development team that spent a lot of time working on it. It's designed to be healthy, supportive, and instantly usable. Anytime, 24 hours a day, the moment that you need it. And you can get feedback on your characters, your structure, your outline, and every draft. And this is part of the difference in our new model. So we looked at this thing and went, what do people need in order to get to a professional level? And part of it was a lot of people are just getting feedback once they've completed a script. But what if you could have feedback pretty much at every step, right? And so let's go to the next thing, and I'll do the demonstration here in just a minute. But let's talk about this first too. The old way of writing: an idea comes to you, you write it, drafts, you do drafts until it's strong, and then you get feedback, and it's at that sequence. I want to give you this sequence because I think this is a better system for becoming a great writer. First, brainstorm multiple projects and then choose the best to write. This is something that has really only been available with some of the new stuff that we're doing. Instead of just going, okay, one idea came to me, what if I brainstormed 5 projects and then picked the best, right? And if you're doing it the normal way, that might take you a month. But the way we're doing it, you can do that in 5 days. Then at that point, then it's about characters. You create your characters, you get feedback, you improve, and you celebrate. And this, again, you'll see in our model, once I get to the actual feedback, you'll see how this is possible. You can do this very quickly. You could create a character right now. You go through the process and create a version of a character, get feedback right now, improve it, and 30 minutes later, you've got characters that are better than you normally would create in a week or a month. And you've done that in 30 minutes. And you celebrate. So our model is You go from there to your structure. So you've brainstormed multiple projects, picked the best. You then created your characters. You got feedback. You made sure they're really strong. Then you create your structure and your outline. You do the same thing. You create it. You get feedback. You improve it. You celebrate 30 minutes after you start it. And then every single draft, create the draft, write it, get feedback, improve, and celebrate. So let me show you what this looks like. Just a moment here. Okay. So, yeah, just a second. Let me fix this. There we go. All right, there we are. Okay, this is our system. And you'll see across the top, this is at start here, right here. And when I said you can create a project, you can actually create a project in about 8 minutes. So the way we've got this using our AI, we have an AI system that we designed, but using that, you can go through and create a concept, the characters, the structure, basic plot, that kind of thing in about 8 minutes. And you do that for one idea. You come back and do it again tomorrow, and in 8 minutes to 10 minutes, you've got another one. Then you do another one and another one. Now you have 5, and you pick the best of the 5. Now, this isn't AI writing your project. This is it brainstorming with you, which is totally okay, both for the Copyright Office and inside this industry. But I want you to notice the other things that we've done here. Each of these tabs takes us to another part of the thing. This one's on writing a screenplay. And so it gives you a bunch of different classes that you can go to be able to write a screenplay, a bunch of videos that make it really easy. If you're over 50, here's a model for how to write if you're over 50 and how to succeed in this industry, right? Here's one on writing a TV series, mastering a genre, getting an agent or manager, and making money with writing. So each one of them has the specific classes that we've designed on this that all came from interviews we did inside the industry so that it really does work. But for right now, let me go over here to the get feedback, and I want to show you how this works. First, here's some of the feedback sessions that I've done in the last couple of days. And I'll show you one in just a moment. But our objective here was to make this thing so simple. I don't know if you've ever been in other programs where you spent an hour trying to learn the program. In ours, it's like this. If you want to write a screenplay, you click that button and the classes are available to you. When you're getting feedback, you look over here, you've got 3 choices. It's real simple. Your AI feedback gives you all the stuff you've already done. Your create new feedback will take you, and I'll show you that in just a second, but it'll take you to how to create and how many different ways you can create new feedback. And your scripts, this is where you upload your scripts and manage those in order to get feedback on your screenplays. But let me show you the create new feedback, and then I'll come back and show you how these work. So this, by the way, we looked at what are the main things that you need to do when it comes to feedback. And most people think, again, they think it's just all about that final script. So if you need feedback on your full script, you go down here. If it's a feature, you'll click here and upload your script, go through the process and get feedback. I'll show you one of those in a moment. If it's a TV pilot, you're here. If it's a TV episode, you're over here, because a pilot and an episode have different needs and requirements. And if you need TV feedback, Bible feedback, right here. So these are our full script feedbacks. And so you can get any of those. You get 5 each month. So, and then up here are what we call the script components. And this is on the key things that you need along the way. So for instance, if you're at the point where you've worked with your characters and you need to elevate them and improve them, you simply come right over here to characters and you click that button. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. If you need it on your structure right here, on your outline, this is for that. If you're doing an opening scene, we have an incredible opening scene feedback. I won't be showing you that one today, but maybe another time. If you have a TV episode that you're just creating the structure on, then this is the place to do it. And if you have a TV outline that you have just written and you want feedback on it, right here. Now, here's another one that we just added that I think is incredible also. Protagonist versus antagonist. We put this in because a lot of people don't think about the two. Usually they create one, and that's, they create that one by itself, and then they create the other one by itself. So I've talked with lots and lots of people who wrote their story about their protagonist, and the villain was just kind of, a cardboard bad guy. What this does is it allows you to look at the two, protagonist versus antagonist, and consider, based on what the story is about, how could you make those two the best possible for this story? How could you make the antagonist somebody who makes it incredibly difficult for the protagonist? And and that's really important. And how can you make the protagonist perfect for the story, and also somebody who they're designed to learn and ultimately fight against whoever that antagonist is, right? So I'll show you one of these in a moment, but I'm going to tell you again, while most people spend their whole lives thinking it's only about full script feedback, this is incredibly helpful. We'll show you. But this up here, these are our secret weapons. All of these are the things that make those little parts, make those characters twice as good, make the structure twice as good, make that opening scene something that anybody who reads it will say, oh my God, this writer's incredible. So let's go over and I'll show you a couple of these. Here, I'll give you a protagonist versus antagonist since we just talked about that. Okay, so this is for an idea that I'm playing around with. It basically asks 4 questions, our AI, and this is our proprietary program. Nobody else has it. Ask, what's your genre? What's your concept? And then you provide a protagonist character profile or summary, either one, whichever you have, and you provide an antagonist character profile or summary, because we're comparing these two. But you need to have the concept in there so that it knows what the story is and how these two play in that. Now, here's what it gave me. And you'll notice up front, maybe, let me see if I can, there you go. First thing it provides is what works. So it gave me a list of 7 things that work. And I agree with this one. She's got dual goals that are kind of conflicting. I think that makes a big difference. Michael, so she's the protagonist. Evelyn's the protagonist. Michael's the antagonist. He has not only a hidden nature, but this guy's incredibly covert. Both the characters have these interesting backstories. Yes, I agree. Both of them are intriguing. They have things going on under the surface they're not talking about. She has a dilemma. At the present moment, he doesn't. So that's something that I'll improve. And then we go down to the ideas for improvement. And this is, its job is to give you 3 to 10 ways to improve. Here, it gave me 10.
And that generally happens because I'm basically on a first draft of this particular project. I did another one where by the time I'd gone through it twice, I was down to where it was just giving me details to improve. So it's suggesting I deepen the personal connection between these two. I think that's important. Increase Michael's complexity. This is one of those things where I've figured out the protagonist, but I don't quite have everything about the antagonist. So I completely agree with that. Michael's underestimation, so him underestimating her, I do think that's important. Evelyn's emotional journey, she is going to have an amazing emotional journey. I just didn't define it well in the thing. On this one, I do not know what Michael's end game is, so I would look at that. And not worried about her scientific ethics, although they do play a role. Raise the stakes. Yeah, maybe. So out of what, 10 different ideas, just glancing at them, I can tell at least 4 of them, maybe 5 of them, I would automatically apply. I haven't read through this yet. I just did it about just a little bit ago. So this is, after we're done here, I'm going to go back and read all of these. But I know already, I know 4 or 5 of them I'm going to use. So that's important. Let me back up here. Let's see here. Let's look at the structure for a moment. So it's the same story with, this is the structure. And by the way, when you fill in the structure, AI ends up putting it all together there. All I had to do was give the concept, the genre, the synopsis, and in this case, I gave it as a 4-act structure. So here was its answer when it gave me feedback. It gave me some ideas for the opening, or the Act 1, Act 2, how the hero is going to rethink things, a new plan. Yeah. And then it gave me a list of improvements down here. Now, right now, I'm not going to take the time to look through these. I need to, but this is just one of these things. I just put them in here so that you could see how this responds. So it's got what, about 8 improvements for me, 9 improvements that I can consider on this structure. And absolutely, I would do it. Let me tell you the second part. The way we do this is you get feedback on your structure. You decide which are the things that you like. You make your improvements. You go back to your structure and you make those improvements. You know, maybe I'm strengthening the villain's motives. I don't know if I would add subplots, but it's possible. This is structure, so I haven't got to when I would do that. Maybe a little more world building in the situation, heighten the stakes. I absolutely 100% agree with that. So I would go back, I would make those changes, put it back in again, and now ask it to give feedback a second time. And doing it a second time, usually I end up with about half as many of these, and sometimes much more clarity because I've improved the structure in the first place. So I'm putting in something stronger, so it's giving me better feedback. So that's kind of the process that we're dealing with here. Let me just show you one other thing on this. Yeah. Nope, not yet. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Here's what a full script feedback looks like. So when you're going in and you decide to do full script feedback, you're only answering a couple of questions in the beginning because you're going to upload your full script. So the title on this one, this is Madam Mechanic. It's written by Ann Nowak, who's a good friend of mine. Uh, it's a comedy. She gives the concept, right? And then from there, then what it comes back and it gives feedback first on the concept and the main conflict. And it tells what it thought about the concept, what it thought about the main conflict, and then any ideas for improvement. So that's important. So you're going to look to see what did it like, and then at that point, then it's about, do you want to make any of these changes? From there, it's lead characters, and you'll see she didn't list her characters in a profile, but we specifically had this AI do that. So it gave her profiles on her two lead characters, her protagonist and her antagonist. It tells what their core traits are, what their motivation, excuse me on that, the flaw in the wound, the secret and hidden agenda, the internal dilemma this character has, and then it gives an idea for improvement. Does the same thing down here with the antagonist. And what this does is two things. It gives you a chance to see, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about that. Yes, I did create a flaw for this character, but I wasn't paying attention to it. Or, yeah, this is what they're thinking the wound is. I don't think it's that. I think it should be something stronger. So you get to go through it and look and see, do you want to keep these profiles? Or are there things in there that you need to elevate? Like the flaw is stubbornness enough. If this character is coming across as stubborn and you want them to come across as, let's say, rude and abusive, well, then you need to take it to a different level, right? And then things like secrets or hidden agendas, these are incredibly important if you're trying to build some kind of intrigue into your story. Now, again, you look at all of this and you say, first, this is the way the AI read my script, and it's actually really good at this. We've done a lot of programming on it. And by the way, I've also compared the same script when we've done our feedback versus what a script consultant did. They were different, but 80% of it was pretty much the same. As in what we're operating, this feedback is operating at a level of a pretty high level script consultant, except that we're giving a lot more kind of specific information in these kinds of areas. Then it goes down to the structure, and it lists out all of the different beats of your structure all the way down to there. So you can look and see, is that the opening? Is that the way I saw the opening? Is this the inciting incident? And by the way, when it interpreted it this way, is there a reason? Is that the way I wrote it? You can go back and look and see. But it lays out your complete structure if you hadn't thought about that before or looked at it, and then gives you ideas for improvement here. Now, at that point, then it talks to you about the read of the script, how it reads, how it flows, any ideas for improvement. It points to the quality of the scenes. It tells you your best scenes and the scenes it feels you need to improve. So in this case, she had 5 best scenes and then 3 scenes that she could improve. At that point, we talk about dialogue, and it's going to point to what are your best lines, all of these, and what are the least effective lines. That can be helpful. It'll tell you how much of your dialogue is generic. This is incredibly important. Because it's like if some of your dialogue, like in this case, it just said a small percentage, but we've seen a lot of them where it'll tell your 60% or 40% of your dialogue is generic. In that case, you need to go back and look, how can you have that character's dialogue come from their character profile that was right up here. So you have these character profiles. You can go back and rewrite that dialogue to match their profile. Let me continue on that. Now we're down here at the description. It says for hers, approximately 80% of the description is concise, visual, and in present tense. This is really good. This is at a level that most pro scripts are at. So she's done a really good job on that. Points to some effective description and then some description that needs improvement. So that will help. It'll also give audience comps or audience and comps. So on the comps, it says Devil Wears Prada is a comp for this, Legally Blonde, Miss Congeniality. In case you're talking with producers and they ask, you know. And then finally, it gives you the whole list of all the recommended improvements so that you can immediately go through and make those. Now, that's our full script feedback. Every time I've done this on a script, I've come out and said, okay, out of this list of 7 or 8 or 10, I have at least 5 or 6 that I'm going to do right this moment. And that makes a difference. Also, if you're doing that and you're in the midst of it, if there's something in here that you said, wow, something didn't work, like you could go back and look. If you're working on your characters and you feel like your characters just aren't as strong as they need to be, you just take them over and you use one of the script components for characters, and that'll get you what you need. Let me show you one more thing. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you 2 more things. So just a second here. So this is what I was saying. Our system for becoming a great writer is this. You brainstorm multiple projects. We have it set up so you can do that with AI, just the early brainstorming to make a choice. Which is the best of these that I want to spend my time on? And you can keep going on that. You can brainstorm as many as you want. If you want to brainstorm just 1 or 2, fine. If you want to brainstorm 10 or 20, you can do that. Do that until you find one that you think is the best and has a real chance in the industry, and that's the one you write. Then you come in and you create your characters, you get feedback. I showed you how to do that. You then improve the character and you celebrate. And this again is something, however long, like if you've already got your characters created, then you can just take them in and get feedback on them. And based on that feedback, improve it and celebrate. Then you do the same thing with your structure and then with your outline. In each case, you create it, you get feedback, you improve it, you celebrate. Finally, once you get to your drafts, first draft, go in and get feedback. I know in the real world, if you go to a script consultant and you give them a first draft, they're either not going to be very happy or they're going to tell you to come back with something that's closer to being done. In fact, a lot of them want you to give them mainly what you consider to be your final draft. But here, it's a different story. You can get feedback on every single draft, and with that, make serious improvements that make your script so much stronger and make you stronger as a writer. So again, you create a draft, you write it, then you get feedback, you improve it, and a lot of times the improvements, will take you between an hour to a couple of days. And now you've got a script that is so much stronger and you celebrate. So your first draft might go to a 3rd draft level quality in just one series of steps. It's pretty amazing what's possible in this situation. This, though, at the same time, you do that with every script and you have success. But at the same time, part of why we designed this was because of this part. Instead of getting feedback and feeling depressed or upset, or somebody said something bad about your script or all those kinds of things, the way that our AI gives feedback doesn't create that. It's just, it's positive, it's healthy, and it's valuable. So I want you to focus on celebrating every time you've improved anything. And what this does is makes your life as a writer an amazing, wonderful journey, which is what we think this whole thing should be about. So I think I did that one. Yeah. Here's the other part. Using the classes to become a great writer. And so on this, you choose a project with a great pitch. So maybe you use our system, maybe you already have a great pitch. And then you pick a class to take it through to elevate your skills and improve the writing at the same time. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. You get feedback on, every lesson, you improve and you celebrate. You continue number 1 to 3 until you have movies that are being made and TV shows that are being produced. So that's the flow of things on what you're doing. So let me take you over here and show you this. Yeah, just a moment here. Hang on. There we are. Okay. So this is a lesson inside of our one of our classes. This is actually the action genre class, writing killer action movies. And I'm showing you this because I want to show you what we've done with our AI feedback for the lessons. So here's what happens in a lesson. Like on this one, you're creating the mission track. And that means you're looking at your hero starts over here, and then they get this mission, and now they go through these steps all the way to the end, right? So this is the mission track. And I'm going to put that in just a moment. But when we get down here, it explains the basic mission steps, and then it gives you an example of John Wick doing the mission steps, right? And there's the assignment. So the assignment, I'm going to fill in some basic information about the villain and the mission and what the impossible goal is and all of that. And then I'm going to present these steps, and I'll show you that in a second. So we get to the end and it just says, get feedback from AI. Now, hang on just a second. Let me get the project. And you just simply fill in, you copy and paste your project. Here's the concept and the mission track information. I've answered the questions and those kinds of things. And you click submit. Now, it will take a minute, but here's what it's done. It's put my answer here so that later on, if you come back to this lesson and you want to see what did you put in, there's all of that. Here's the basic mission steps from my answer. Here's first, it's what's the clear mission? What's the motivation? What's the inciting incident, right? The first action, and you'll see my feedback has already shown up down here. So we'll get to that in just a second. What's the obstacle? What's the escalation, the overwhelming odds, right? This is all part of a mission. Like if you were looking at like John Wick, he was on a mission, but Mission Impossible, it follows all of these steps, right? So I put in mine, I've answered all of these questions, and now it comes back with the feedback. So it starts with, what did you do well? And I've successfully identified the key elements. Now, by the way, again, this is on this project that I'm just working on right now. I'm just beginning to create. We're at first draft. I created a unique and interesting scenario. The time loop aspect is intriguing and adds a layer of complexity to the mission, right? You've crafted a strong external motivator, and your mission reflects an understanding, blah, blah, blah. What do I need to improve? So here's a list of 5 things to improve from this lesson. Now, focus on linking the hero's background to her determination to take the challenge. All right, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. So I've got this list of these 5 things, and I'll stop pondering them because that's not going to be valuable to you. But now I've got 5 ways to improve, and this is what just happened. I read through this lesson. I got to the end. And the lesson takes like 5 minutes to read it. I got to the end. I answered the questions for the assignment. I plugged them in right here. And you saw it took about 1 minute for it to give me feedback. Generally, it's between about a minute to a minute and a half or so on this one. And it told me what it liked, what I did well. So I keep that. And it told me what to improve. So you're getting instant feedback on what you just learned, the skills, the information that came from this lesson. And I'm getting instant feedback on my project and how this is going to show up in my screenplay. So in this case, it's an action story. So I'm using the action class to do this, but you could use any of the classes that are actually listed in here. Like if you wanted to do a genre class, you just go take a look. If it's a thriller, you go here, action, horror, profound. We've got a couple of other genres we're about to add to that. If what you wanted to do, let's say you were writing a TV series, you could go in here, and if you're going through the writing writing binge-worthy TV, this is a 5-month-long class, but by the time you're done, you will be a pro. You will have everything you need, and you'll get feedback on every single lesson. And because of that, you will learn twice as much. That's what this whole thing is about to us. It's all about you learning and becoming the best writer you can be. So this is, again, this is what our system is about. We're adding and applying pro skills every time you use one of our classes to be able to create a project. You're learning professional level skills, and you're adding them to your model. You're also writing. So you are learning from writing, you are learning from the skills, and you're learning from the consistent, healthy feedback that really can change your life as a writer. So the value of this system, the classes that are in there right now are over $7,000. We're going to be adding some other classes, but there's $7,000 worth of classes in there. And I didn't show you all the classes, but if you were to do 2 of those classes a month, a 30-day one and maybe one of the bigger ones or something like that, it's worth $400. People are spending that or more on our classes. Feedback, somewhere between $300 to $500, depending on how much you use it. That can make a significant difference in the quality of your writing. The videos in there, we have probably 30 right now. We're going to be adding another 30 to 50 over the next month or so. Those are worth at least $100 a month. The total of what I would say this program is worth, or this model is worth per month, is at least $800 a month. Now, there's some other intrinsic value that comes out of this. Improving your writing, the value on that is confidence. The more you improve, the more confident you're going to feel. Elevating who you are as a writer means you're going to feel more fulfilled, right? Because it's not just the words on the page, it's who you are. It's what you're capable of. That makes a difference. Recognition inside the industry, you'll be respected, and that means something, right? If you're winning contests, if you already have a manager, if you get a manager out of this, if you end up having producers who love working with you, that's huge. That makes a huge difference. And this system is designed to help you do that. Having the success you want is priceless. seeing your TVs, your movies and TV shows on the streamers, that's also priceless. Knowing that people are watching something that you created, and that anytime they meet you, they're going to look up to you because you did that. That kind of thing makes a huge difference. So this is the question: what future do you want for yourself and your writing? Now, again, this system, I think we've designed it to be something that could take somebody from being a good writer to a great writer. And we've designed it to make it so that you could really truly become who you want to be and have the success that you want. Originally, I was thinking 149 a month on this because, again, if somebody's taking even one of the 30-day classes a month, they would normally be spending more than that. Then we thought 119, but what we've done is we've designed this so that you can get it for $79 a month. And again, all you got to do is just ask yourself, what if you had all the skills and strategies of an A-list writer, and you could have any amount of healthy feedback to improve your writing? What could you accomplish? Now, here's the link. And right now we're going to let 30 people in. So that's going to be the first week of this. We've tested it with our group. So we know that it's working. We'll let 30 people in. It's just write this down: bit.ly, bit.ly/master screenwriting. So again, just bit.ly/master screenwriting. And again, we added some bonuses that right off the bat. So in the start here, you saw we had 3 different bonuses that'll help you out, but one is on how do you create a project in 8 minutes. You can go in as soon as you sign up, you can go in and use that immediately to create new projects. And from that point on, then it's just, if you want to get feedback on a full script, you can do that right now. Just simply use this link, bit.ly/master screenwriting. Go over and click the Get Feedback tab, and you're in. So this is something that you can cancel at any time. We'll make it as easy as possible for you to do that, because I don't want you to spend money that you don't need to. Our objective is to have you truly master screenwriting and become the writer you want to be. That's what this whole thing is about. Let me say one more thing. Once you're comfortable with this, you get in and you play around with it a little bit, you'll recognize that if you just consistently use this model, if you consistently use our system, what will happen is over time, you will grow like crazy. So even if you just did, let's say you did 1 hour a day, 3 days a week, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you did it, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever. 3 days a week, 1 hour each time, where you do a lesson, you get feedback, you improve your project. Every time you do that, you improve as a writer. If you want to go further, and we have people who are doing it every single day at the present moment, that means every day you're going to be writing, you're going to be learning, you're going to be getting feedback, and you'll be improving both your project and your writing. So that's what this whole thing is about. Over a short period of time, you will grow to a level that's twice the quality that you're at right now, maybe more. And if you're really, truly motivated and you want to become a pro, this can be the vehicle that can help get you there. So again, all you got to do is take that link, bit.ly/master screenwriting, put it in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, click the button, sign up, and you've started the adventure. And I promise you, every step of the way is going to be life-changing. if you have any problem with this at all, just let us know. And if you get inside and for some reason you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. So that's what this is about. Go give it a shot. I promise you, you will love what it does for your writing. With that, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U. Wishing you the best, and I can't wait to see what you do in this situation to move your writing forward and create the success you've always wanted. See you inside. Bye-bye, everyone.